The reason why most businesses fail within the first 5 years is because they're just doing things, they're not putting a strategic plan in place. So when you are pre-launching, here are the things that you're focused on. This is the worst advice anyone could get as a new entrepreneur is when you are trying to launch a business or when you just start a business and no one buys, it is because no one's excited for what you have going on. Hate to break it to you, that's what it is. When you follow these 3 phases, you have no choice but to be successful. And the key to it is, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Launch and Profit podcast. I am your host, Coach Nicholas Marquis. And listen, if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, you want to tap in to this episode because I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to launch your business from scratch using whatever you have and getting to success in the next 90 days. Let's get to this money. Okay, so here's what people get wrong when they're trying to launch a business. They open doors, or you have this idea and you're like, you know what? I want to drop ship, or I want to write a book, or I want to do whatever, right? I want to be an event planner. And you open doors, or maybe you keep it a secret, right? Because we got this whole move in silence. You keep it a secret and you just open doors and you wonder why no one bought. Well, no one bought because you didn't launch a business, you started a business. Here's the difference. When you start a business, this is getting your stuff up and running. Now you can just take money, take orders. You open doors and you can start taking customers. When you launch a business, you put a strategic plan in place so that you can generate hype and actually have people to sell to. So here's the 3 phases of launching that you need to implement. And if you want to go in further detail, I just did a training on all of this and you can catch the link in the description or in the show notes. So phase 1 is called pre-launch. So the reason that I broke these into phases is because I felt like when I started my business, I was focused on all the wrong areas and doing the wrong things at the wrong time. And here's what I mean by that. I opened doors. I told you about the baby shower that I got paid $100 for. I opened doors, and in the same time, I'm trying to get my LLC up and running. I'm still trying to figure out where am I taking this business and how am I going to make sales. But we're just doing things. But the reason why most businesses fail within the first 5 years is because they're just doing things, they're not putting a strategic plan in place. So when you are pre-launching, here are the things that you're focused on. The very first thing you're focused on is market research. Who is your target audience? What do they like? What do they dislike? Where are they already looking for your solution? What problem of theirs are you solving? You don't sell products and services. You want to know what you actually sell? You actually sell solutions to people's problems. And when you can tap into solving the most urgent pain point or delivering the most top desire, you can charge a premium for your products and services. And that's what you're focused on next, is figuring out how you can charge a premium and how you can build a business model that is going to generate more revenue that is not just for you. Yes, you want the house, we want the cars, we want the lifestyle, but if you're building a true sustainable business, your business has to live beyond you. You should be able to pass it down to children or to your offspring or to the next generation, or you should be able to sell it. If you're building a sustainable business, that should be your end goal. How do I pass this down, or how do I sell, right? So in pre-launch phase, you're focused on, so point one was target audience research. Point 2 is how do I charge a premium? Point 3 is competitors. I remember somebody telling me this is the worst advice anyone could get as a new entrepreneur is don't worry about what the competition is doing. Just focus on you. And let me tell you, that's true to an extent of don't get caught up in anyone else's results, but you definitely need to know, what are your competitors doing well? What do your competitors do that's not so good? What do people hate? And what's missing in the market? This is how you differentiate yourself. I'm giving y'all too much damn game. This is how you differentiate yourself in the market and you confidently can charge what you want to charge because you already know no one's doing this. Or you can go to XYZ, but they're not going to give you this service, this product. They're not going to solve this problem, right? All of this is what you should be focused on in pre-launch. So drop in the comments if you focus on this or if you skip this part. And that's okay. Go back and do it. But this is what you should be focused on in pre-launch. A wise person once taught me that proximity is power. And it's true. 10 years ago, when I started my event planning business, I had no customers, no revenue, no clue. And when I started to build a tribe, not a circle, but a tribe, I was able to start working with some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in the country and build a six-figure business. So now as a business coach, I've taken the liberty upon myself to start a community called CEO Nation, a community for entrepreneurs who are looking to launch, grow, and scale their business. We have monthly workshops and coaching sessions, monthly Q&As, resources, and not only that, you get to network and connect with entrepreneurs from around the world. And you can get started today for just $1. So click the link in the description and get started today. Phase 2 is soft launch. So what do I mean by soft launch? Have you ever got one of those invitations to like a new restaurant and you just come out, everything's either half off or free, and they just want you to come taste their food and give them feedback? Let me tell you what they're actually doing. What they're actually doing is gaining momentum, first of all, for their operations. A lot of us don't focus on that. How do we deliver this product or service, right? And the next thing they're doing is they're getting buy-in from the target audience. Come in and try the food. We're going to do a free tasting because we're opening doors. And in exchange, I want you to do a video testimonial, or can you go write a review, or just go tell your friends. So how can you soft launch your business in a way where you have the bare minimum, which is what I call a minimum viable product, or an offer to serve if you're in service base. Again, if you want more information on that, you can take the training in the show notes. How can you create the very first version of your product and service in soft launch? And let me tell you, your focus in soft launch is not so much the money. Your focus is, how do I get video testimonials? How do I get reviews? How do I get referrals? And how do I leverage opportunity? When I was first starting my event business, or when I moved to Atlanta, I had to break into the market. And the one thing that it is tough to do out here in Atlanta is to try to break into a market where people already have their makeup artist, their hairstylist, and their event planner. What I had to do is offer final stretch event planning services for 3 people that needed it. And where I leveraged, because I didn't have money for marketing, how I leveraged it was my what I call circle of network. Who was I already in network with that could use my product or services? And so my first offer to serve was given to my boss, and his granddaughter was having a birthday party. I literally planned the end of the birthday party, or the end of the planning process. I came in and executed. And then how many of you can guess what happened after that? I landed 2 paying clients at that birthday party for a destination birthday party. The second one was given to my coworker, Rochelle. She wanted to start her women's empowerment brand, which we revamped to something else, but let me stay in the moment. She wanted to start her women's empowerment brand, and we had a launch and brunch. I did it for free, and then I booked her sister who wanted me to plan the launch of her business. You see how this works? Right now, I wasn't focused on how do I get to the money. I was focused on what do I need to push the business forward, soft launching. The final phase is official launch. And let me tell you why this phase is so important. When you are trying to launch a business, or when you just start a business and no one buys, it is because no one's excited for what you have going on. Hate to break it to you, that's what it is. When you create a launch event, is what I call it. When you create a launch event, now you are not just positioning the product as I want to sell you something, you're giving people something to come to. So I want you to think of a launch event. A launch event can be as big as a grand opening. It could be as simple as I'm taking calls, or it can be if you ever go to Costco and you go get those appetizers or those samplers in the middle of the what's it called, y'all? In the middle of the store, that's a launch event. If you ever go to a grand opening, or excuse me, ever go to an album release party, that's a launch event. You need to create a launch event. And you need to define what that is. When you have a launch event, the focus becomes, how do I fill registrants or people to come to the launch event? How do I position it in a way where they're getting value, they're entertained, but I'm also selling? Make no mistake, hear me well. At your launch event, this is a sales event. Whether it's a webinar, whether it's a release party, whether it is you standing outside on the corner selling your stuff, it is a sales event. When you follow these three phases, you have no choice but to be successful. And the key to it is, for my folks who are growing and scaling their business, you're going to continue launching your business. When I worked for, or when I had Coca-Cola as a client, they had specific events every quarter that built up hype to sell whatever it is that they were selling, whether they were releasing a new flavor or a new drink or whatever. And you're going to do the same thing. So if you don't take anything else away from this, just know that you have to put a strategy in place. You have everything that you need to thrive, and this will work.